I made a terrible, embarrassing mistake that honestly, it's so embarrassing to even talk about. But, I figured maybe someone would learn from it. And, this is part of my journey of becoming a better developer and learning my technology stack even better. Of a ridiculously embarrassing, simple error this was that resulted in such a huge issue, or even a potentially huge issue, had this been a popular website of mine. So I'm on a journey of becoming a better web developer and just a better software engineer in general, or DevOps and whatever. Just I want to become a better technology developer. And so part of that is, working on a lot of projects and studying material. And one of the mistakes I made recently was I exposed my OpenAI API key credentials on a client side. For those of you that don't know, think of your API key as a identification system that's used to call to a program that's tied to your account, which this account is tied to your billing. So you probably know about OpenAI. You probably know that you could pay a membership to get, to use the new models. But they also offer this tool for developers where you get API keys. So then you can make products and web applications, whatever. You could use their AI model and you pay per usage through this API key. And that's your key to identify, hey, that's you. This is going to this billing account. Is going to run up, a specific charge. And then, yeah. So if someone gets that API key, they could essentially run ChatGPT through their own program or through their own system and use your billing. So that's a pretty big issue. And luckily, the website I'm working on doesn't have any users. It has just friends and family use right now. Nothing special. Just unfortunately in production. So this error went to production. Stupid mistake on my part. Luckily, I fixed it. Not an issue anymore, but it is a very embarrassing issue. And thankfully, this issue is dealt with. And so here I'm going to talk about how I dealt with it, how I came across it, and how you could probably avoid such a, rookie pitfall. And for those of you that are experienced with web development and Next.js, you're probably going to be looking at me like, oh my God, this is so basic, but this is part of my journey. And what I'm doing on this YouTube channel is sharing my journey of learning web technologies, how I'm improving. I'm taking these notes, various notes, but I want to just become a better developer end to end. So it would probably be worthwhile to dive into the code. So let's go ahead and do that. So as you can see, I'm currently using Cursor for this right now. I'm still getting better with NeoVim, so we're not working with NeoVim right now. It handles our call right here through a session ID, which is going through an SDP offer, which is great. And we're doing this because we need an OpenAI real-time communication, because I'll show you what it actually is doing when it's fully working. So let me show you the issue when it was there 5 days ago. This was the issue. This is on the client side. In order for it to be on the server side or the back end in Next.js, it has to be in one of these routes like API. I'm still learning Next.js, so for maybe more senior developers or those that have more years of experience with Next.js, you guys can drop comments down below. But we're doing the SDP offer in the client side where we had the model and then the API key. So right here in the headers, so when this headers goes and passes through on the client side, it's actually passing through that environment variable, which is the API key. So then if you looked into your network tab, if we go to your inspect network, you would have a element in here that would be making a call to the network. So something like this. Yeah. So you could see we have different calls, and you'd see a header response, and the API key was coming in right here. You don't want that. That's horrible. It's a terrible practice. So how did I fix it? Well, I created an SDP route under the OpenAI session. And then this is where we have that SDP offer. Now you're probably wondering oh, so you figured out, why did you even make this issue? Well, part of the issue is I use LLMs to help me code. When you want to make something really quick and I'm not employed, it doesn't really matter what I use as long as what I use gets the job done, since I'm doing my own projects. I rushed. I didn't look at what I was doing. And I'm not experienced enough with Next.js to know that what I was doing was a grave mistake, a severe security issue. Just inspecting, because what I do is I just inspect the different routes. And I saw when that route was connecting, was passing the API key. And then I'm like, oh, wait, there's an issue there. Then I looked in the code and then manually reviewed it. And I'm like, oh, wow, I think this is the issue because we're having the API key getting passed right in the client side. And no wonder why they could see it. So we just set up this SDP route, and now it's going to communicate to OpenAI real-time preview, December 17th model, which is, as of this date, the latest model. So that was a solution, and that's how I fixed it. Super stupid. If I've been a developer for so long, how did I make this mistake? Well, partially is I come from the Python and React framework system. It's a really weird system. Python being your backend, and then handling your sessions and tokens and so forth, and then having a simple React app on your front end that then communicates with the backend. So you're really just processing the backend routes. That's usually how I've done my development. But this time around, I'm just doing all in Next.js. I just want to get better at Next.js, and the app routing and the API stuff is a bit newer, but this is where, the learning comes in. And so I actually feel like I'm learning. It's a stupid mistake. Luckily, there was no cost behind it, as in I didn't get punished because, well, no one's on a website to take advantage of the screw up. So now if we go to microphone, we'll even do a test. We'll go back to inspect, go to network, and we're going to start a session, and we're going to do I'm going to show you what I've been developing. Guten Tag, wie gehen Sie?
Guten Tag, mir geht es gut, danke. Und wie geht es Ihnen? Welche Ziele haben Sie beim Deutschlernen?
Oh, ich bin gut. Ich wohne in United Staaten. Ich habe eine Deutschland-Reisen.
Das klingt spannend. Sie möchten also nach Deutschland reisen. Haben Sie schon bestimmte Orte im Kopf, die Sie besuchen möchten? Vielleicht Berlin oder München?
Ich bin gehen aus Berlin und Munich für die Sommer.
Super, das sind tolle Ziele. In Berlin gibt es viele historische Sehenswürdigkeiten und in München können Sie die bayerische Kultur erleben. Haben Sie schon Pläne, was Sie dort machen möchten? Zum Beispiel Museen besuchen oder lokale Spezialitäten probieren?
It's a language learning platform that I'm working on, where we can essentially communicate with the system, and it's real time, and you're getting a real time practice with your foreign language. My German's the best out of the languages I'm learning. I'm learning Portuguese, Brazilian because of my girlfriend, Chinese, Mandarin, and Norwegian because I have family in Norway. Chinese Mandarin because why not? I want something difficult and make my life substantially harder than how it already is, being unemployed. So as you can see, we don't actually have that API key here anymore, which is great. That's the solution. We have a session ID, which is going to our SDP route, which the SDP route verifies and then makes that connection to our API route. This is the web app and what I've been working on. It's fun. If you guys want to check out this website, it's langfee.com. It is up. It's a bit buggy. I don't have all the features working. I only have AI chat assistant, which is a actual chat system, and I only have audio conversations. It's going to be a paid platform. Currently it's free. I do have a rate limit. So if this video gets lots of views and you guys check it out and end up doing it and it doesn't work after some point, it's probably because I can't pay the bill for the API costs for obvious reasons, because paying API costs is not cheap. I don't have visual learning and I don't have flashcards yet. Those are going to be what I'm working on next. This is what the website looks like and so forth. You guys can log in through your Google account. You don't need to create an account. Super simple. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, I'm curious on what you guys' thoughts are. I'm doing like a 30-day journey on either getting a job or building something that's going to generate revenue for me, as I'm in a transitional period, transitioning from the music industry and doing my past stuff into more, I would ideally look for a corporate or a real-time job. But if I do something on the side that actually generates good revenue that I can justify it to do it full-time, I'm doing that. So I figured to build publicly, share my progress publicly as I'm learning, and maybe others will learn along with me. If you haven't seen my previous video, I made a video about how I did 2,000 applications and still unemployed. It is a rough patch. I don't blame fully the market. The market, there is some blame there. Part of it though is I I fumbled a lot of technical interviews. I was getting interviews. And I don't know if I really clearly mentioned that. As of lately, not so much, but during a period I was. Some of them went really good. They just dropped. I did good on the technical, and that was in the issue. And then we got to compensation, whatever, or an internal hire. But then sometimes when I did mess up, when it was my fault where I didn't get the job, it was because I didn't do well on the technical interview. Some of that has to do with one time, like a year ago, I had an interview for an AI position, but they wanted someone that had experience with SageMaker. At the time, I didn't. Now I do. Recently, I was applying for a consulting role, and they wanted someone with a little bit more experience in big data. I didn't have experience with like big data or data warehouse. And, you would say don't apply to jobs that you don't have experience to, duh, but you don't get, sometimes when you apply, they don't tell you everything. And when you're in a position like me, you can't really spend an hour on an application, and because the likelihood of even hearing back in the first place is less than 1% most of the time. If you really want to learn more, check out the video. That's the best I can say. So thank you. And thanks for tuning in and watching. Hopefully I see you guys around.